What do you think investors want to see in terms of margins? They clearly weren't particularly satiated this quarter.
Yeah, Bonnie, good morning first to you and Guy. I think the first thing to look at here is that overall we made the consensus number. We did talk on the call about international, and while we saw some surprise headwinds from emerging market currencies, we were able to offset that. We recognize that places in the emerging markets like Turkey, where you saw a big reduction in the value of the Turkish lira, as well as some other emerging markets, was something that they were not expecting, but we've also put initiatives in place and expect that next quarter, as I mentioned on the call, we'll see a solid improvement back to profitability. We think our international business is strong, and it allows for us to continue to grow throughout the world.
It's not just international, though. You had a higher number of residential deliveries, which is great, but how do you do that profitably?
So again, in the third quarter, sequentially, we saw improvement from the beginning of the year to where we are right now. We are putting in about 5 million square feet or 400,000 packages an hour in new store capacity this year. And it's all coming in really starting in August through November. And it will be something we'll be able to use for the next 20 to 25 years. That's all part of our plan. It was laid out, and we had seen sequential improvement in operating leverage. But we know we're investing right now, and we're investing to create more efficiency in our global smart logistics network, and that was all part of the plan this quarter.
Rich, can you quantify yet the impact that the U.S. withdrawal from the Universal Postal Union Treaty is going to have on your bottom line?
You know, it's a little early to talk about what impact it's going to have because you don't know what the new rules and the dynamics are. I will tell you, we think we're encouraged by the signs we're seeing. I think it's important that foreign operators pay the same price as our small and medium-sized businesses, regardless of when a package enters the U.S. And so we'll have to see the details play out. But I think that these are encouraging signs.
OK, let's talk about fuel prices. How much of the fuel price increase that we are seeing, and we are seeing, maybe not today and maybe not over the last few days, but we are generally seeing more elevated fuel prices when it comes to you running your trucks and your aeroplanes. Can you pass those on to customers, or is the middle of the P&L having to suck that up?
So it's the tale of two worlds. In the U.S., we have a fuel surcharge that has a 2-week lag, but basically recovers all the cost of the change in fuel. In the international, we do have a fuel surcharge as well, and it gets most of the cost. But when you have rising rates, you don't get it back quite as fast. And just a moment ago, you actually had a interview where it was talking about how fuel prices are starting to come down, and so we'll recapture that. Because when we looked at the international business, the biggest and the majority of the impact of the international wasn't anything other than the emerging market currency and the fuel year over year.
Rich, you mentioned some customer concern on Brexit and also China tariffs this quarter. Can you outline some of those concerns for us? Perhaps start with Brexit.
Yeah, and I think actually the two concerns are very similar. And that is, with unknown regulations and things not final, it's hard for many companies and customers of ours to maximize their supply chain, to figure out how to best fulfill around the world for their customers. And so they're talking to us about different options, but until everything's more final and we understand what's really going to happen, they can't isolate down what's the best interest. We have some customers that have manufacturing in Africa, in South Asia, as well as China. And to fulfill for different parts of the world, they can fulfill differently. And that's one of the great things about the UPS network is we can also flex the aircraft. We already do that throughout the year because the demand is different for different origins to different destinations through the year. So it's more the uncertainty. And once the rules are understood, then it's maximizing the supply chain to comply with and ensure their supply chain meets their needs of their customer.
Rich, that's how it would work in the medium to long term. Let me ask you more a specific question about Brexit and the short term. There is a concern, and it is being vocalised certainly over here in the UK, about the availability of a number of kind of key products, like pharmaceuticals is an obvious one. Is there any conversation happening between your business, between your sector and the British government about how that would be managed? These are perishable goods that need to be shipped in real time around the world. Has the British government come to you and said, look, if things go hard Brexit, we're going to need your help here?
Actually, probably about a year ago, just under a year ago, I actually spent some time talking to government officials about the ability to trade across borders given Brexit, understanding what the rules are going to be and how it's important to make sure that the free flow of goods